Hi there, can you guys hear me? Just want to check to see if you can hear me first. Excellent. Yay! Okay. So, let me talk about the Plan O action, as I like to say. So what we're going to do is we're going to migrate over to my sim over in Brawny, where we're going to walk through the lesson of creating an authentic avatar. We're also going to learn a little bit about what color communicates, and if we have plenty of time, then we can also investigate the evolution of superheroes. And I know that you guys are superheroes, right? When we're in virtual worlds, we have that opportunity to fly and show off our superpowers, but we also can do the same thing in our actual lives. And it's very helpful for me if you respond back and forth when I ask questions, but you don't have to answer all the questions. There is no quiz, so don't worry about that. So just a quick scan. How many of you guys are brand new to Second Life? Would brand new be like a few months, a year, 3 years? Excellent, Sheila. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So you guys have had time to be in world, make some decisions about how you appear and how you interact in world. And part of this lesson is what I teach people before they ever come into a virtual world, so that they can be thoughtful about how they develop their avatar. And it's not just in their appearance, but how they decide to participate in our space. And you guys know that it's very important for us to find a community so that we can develop our authentic avatars. So why don't we head over to my space, and I'll recommend that you have your lighting set to midday so you can enjoy all the pretty colors. And why don't we just head over to Who Are You? So the landmarks available in the yellow box, and that'll show up in your inventory. Excellent, and I'll see you guys there. So it looks like a fair amount of the folks have arrived. Very good. So welcome, welcome to Who Are You. So Who Are You is one of my businesses that's a virtual business, but it's an actual business as well. In the physical world, I'm a college professor and artist, and I design apparel, and definitely find their brands through color as well. So the space is set up so that I have my gallery spaces and multiple lessons that people can go through. There are other areas where I have my Peninsula College classroom, and where my students are working on a project for my digital storytelling and 3D design certificate. So we're going to walk this way, and you'll see that there is this board and a little present. So what I'm standing on is actually how I have people pick teams and to identify what their strengths and weaknesses are. And I believe that, part of developing an authentic avatar is to be able to represent what you're excellent at. So feel free to grab a gift. It's got some superhero pajamas. I understand the script and the cape is too old and maybe will not change anymore. But there's some goodies in there. So what you can see on here, and you can maybe change your camera angle, that there are 4 different corners. So I asked people, how do they want to engage with the world? Do you want to have an effect? Do you want to have an exchange? Do you want to observe? Or do you want to analyze? And what happens is that folks will stand in the different corners that they feel that that's more their strength, how they want to engage. And I actually do this in the physical world as well. Why is this lesson too? Can I encourage you guys to stand in a corner to identify maybe what your strength or how you want to engage with folks? Do you want to do things? Do you want to help express, feel, or think? Okay. Excellent. Awesome. Now, is this easy to do, hard to do? Hey, Buffy. Thanks for joining us. That's right. It depends on the different things you want to do. And it also can depend on who else is in your team. Yeah. So what happens is that when we build these different teams, what we try to do is have at least one person from each corner on that team. So it's balanced. And part of developing our authentic avatar is to be able to express what our strengths are so that when we're working with people, they have a good idea of what we're capable of doing. So I see that we don't have very many people over in the Express. So that means that over here, we would definitely need someone who's not afraid to talk about things, broadcast things, share things. So I'll stand over here for you. Okay. So why don't we migrate over to the lesson about authentic avatars. So please follow me. Walking over here. Here we go. So we'll start here. Okay. Thanks for joining me. Excellent. Okay. So this presentation about authentic avatars is a combination of being interactive, touching things and talking about things, but also to enjoy the slides that we're going to walk around. So I want to be sure that everyone can see them okay, and that you could still hear me. Okay. So I don't know about you guys, when trying to explain to people what an avatar is, do you find that people who are not in virtual worlds kind of give you strange expressions? They don't know what it is, what it could be? That they don't know that an avatar is just a visual representation of yourself. And back in the day when you were playing Pong, you were just that little paddle that was your avatar. Yes, they think it's a game, and I always have to correct my students that it's not a game. You can play games. Oh yeah, and that they do think that we're blue creatures too. I would be more like Smurf. Yes, and when it comes to social media, I do explain to them that their profile picture is an avatar. But within a virtual world, we're this three-dimensional version. And an avatar also, can identify our professional representation. So what does that involve? So I'm going to move back here, next bit. We have, what do we need? We need to develop an avatar branding strategy. We need to be able to express our mission and engagement, and you guys just did that. We need to also identify our assets and then consider our appearance and all the different parts of that. I'll migrate a little bit more to the next slide. And here I have a series of words. And these words are going to relate to, whoops, I'm flying away. These words are going to relate to how you're going to use color to communicate your intention. So you can see the slide over here. What are you? And how do you want the world to see you? So this ends up being a one-word mini resume. You can choose one word or a couple words. And they're all good words: inspiring, powerful, intuitive, and idealistic. Can you guys see the words? Okay. So one should have a word in mind. And you can have a couple words. They're all good words, because we're going to apply them a little later. So why don't you walk along with me, and we can see one of my favorite slides. When we talk about developing an authentic avatar, that avatar doesn't necessarily have to look like ourselves. And some of us have been able to brand our avatar, like Buffy here. And Buffy's with us today, so it makes it extra special. So the most important thing about, developing an authentic avatar is being yourself. And I always say it's to be your best self. Now, I don't know if some of you may know me, but I did set up my avatar so that I look like my actual self. And when we talk about developing an avatar, it helps if we think about how we see ourselves in the world. So, because this is a visual representation of ourselves, it doesn't mean it has to be our actual looking self. Those of us who choose to do that, that comes into play because we have a self-image that's in our mind. So, sometimes I talk about, like, in the Matrix, they have a different version of themselves than their actual selves. And, that happens here as well. And when we think about our ideal self, we usually think about ourselves between the ages of 22 and 25. That's usually a time that, we're very active, we're very excited about the world, we're positive. Okay, we'll see you, Lee. And that it's a time that we also kind of keep in our mind anytime we stand in front of the mirror. We might see that version of ourselves. And so it's natural for us to develop avatars to look like that ideal self that we see inside of us. Have you guys experienced that? Yeah. Excellent. I found out, like, a number of my friends that have come in world who have right now, white or gray hair. I found out what their actual hair color was when they were younger. I had no idea. And it was surprising to me, to find out a little bit more about them. Yep, excellent. And it's, also interesting. People will ask, well, why aren't there more older avatars? Why don't we see wrinkles and so forth? And I always tell them that, we're really trying to represent the self inside of us, not necessarily the part that's on the exterior. But I don't know about you, when I meet our friends from Second Life, I see both the avatar in them. avatars go through an evolution, and you can see this was my evolution, my avatar. I started off and got really excited once I figured out I could make my own clothes, since I make apparel in the physical world. And then found my bob, and then was able to apply my red eyeshadow and lipstick and felt like myself. And then I could start attending meetings at the nonprofit commons, and then continue to modify and change my avatar. My avatar actually has my actual eyes that I photographed to put in them. Did your avatar go through an evolution? Excellent. It's kind of fun to look back at those old pictures. A Cabbage Patch doll! Oh! How fun. Excellent. How cool. Yeah. It's really hard now when people come in World and they have those starter avatars, and I get confused when I see so many good-looking starter avatars, right? So let's talk about the different assets. So we have integrity, and that's the consistency of character, and that character is, your actual character. And I like so many of you are old school D&Ders, and I've used the alignment chart to explain how that consistency is very helpful when we're together and representing our avatar. So where would you be in this chart, maybe? Instead of talking about it being, good or evil, it's far more about how you participate, how you interact. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely stuck in that lawful good section. But sometimes you want to have the folks that are going to be in the neutral, so that they can give opinions on both sides. You want some of those chaotic people, because they'll come out of nowhere with fantastic ideas. And we all know those chaotic, evil people, because we talk about them in IM behind their backs, right? Okay, so being consistent is very helpful. Then we have our intensity. That's the focus on your passion, to be able to showcase what you're passionate about, what you're excited about, what inspires you. And your avatar should represent those things. That can be related to the colors you wear, or the objects that you carry with you, or maybe a fantastical hat. But we always want to express what minds, and also to encourage others to take on what we're interested in. Is there something you're passionate about? Ah, yeah. Now, what do the glasses represent in your passion? That you want to see things? That would be a good one. Librarians. So a lot of the librarians, I've been really impressed with how they have developed their avatars, that they always have, little extras with them that do represent a traditional librarian. It's excellent. And I always tell my students that librarians rule Second Life. That's true, right? Okay. Good. Yes, and educators. Well, I don't want to scare them too much. So the next one is fidelity. So that idea of being a star. And because this is an expanding universe, that means there's plenty of room for all of us to be stars. And what I also mean by that is to be able to, boost people to be their best selves, to just go for it. There's no limitations, and that they can be as radiant as they want to be. Our next one is abilities. So abilities relate to what our superpowers are, but also our weaknesses. So with our abilities, we also want to recognize and reward excellence. So this also comes into, how our personality traits are represented in these spaces. Do you have a superpower that always comes forward? I know that one of mine is definitely cheerleading. Although I don't wear pom-poms to do that. Okay. So you guys have already experienced this, where you've made some decisions on how you want to participate in the world. Yes, my lessons are permanently here. Quite often, some of these displays I present at the Virtual World's Best Practices in Education, as well as the Second Life community celebrations, the birthdays. I'm working on one right now. So you guys have gone through this process. Let's go into the interior and learn a little bit more. So I'm standing here in front of the color one. And you remember when I asked you to pick a word to represent yourself? Word to represent yourself. You should see the word and the color that communicates that specific word. So you can see under mine that I am dynamic and hopefully a little productive. What about you? Does your word and color relate? Excellent. Now, you may find that some of the colors and words do not relate to you or do not appeal to you. And I always tell people that when it comes to something like that, if you're not communicating that through color, that maybe you need to communicate it in other ways, through action or identifying it, communicating with folks, expressing that you're interested in doing that. I've had a number of friends who have told me that they're disappointed that in their job they don't get to do the creative things. And I always say, well, then you need to wear some cyan. And if you wear cyan, then they'll know that you're the creative one, that you have a wonderful imagination and the sky is not the limit for you. So hopefully you can effectively use color. Okay. Excellent. So continue to migrate around. We can see this side. And I'll let you guys know that it's been my lifelong passion and work about color communication. Many, many years of studying it. And I also was inspired by my dad, who did his PhD in system science, about how color is communicated with business folks. So he helped me build my giant bookshelf full of color books. And my poor students have had to suffer through many, many surveys as I did my master's work in it as well. And I'll tell you what, I'm using Second Life as another way of surveying how people use color and if it's appropriate. So I hope later on you guys can participate with some of that. So more about our authentic avatar. Our representation is our reputation. So it's not just about how we look, it's about what we do. Your intent and your action is how people understand who you are. And as I mentioned before, people don't have to look like their avatars, but you can see I do. And it does help out when it comes to talking about virtual worlds and how they can be used. There's been many times where I've done physical presentations about virtual worlds, and people really freak out when they see, that I look like my avatar looks like me. You don't have to do it, but it definitely is catchy. So your avatar is a brand, and you guys are familiar with branding. And what does a brand do? So there's probably specific businesses and products that you guys enjoy in the physical world and in the virtual world. A successful brand will articulate your message distinctly demonstrate your credibility, emotionally connect with your target audience, inspire, and solidify loyalty. Are there some brands that you feel loyal to? That you feel confident that they will take care of you and always deliver the goods? The same thing happens when we develop our avatar, that when we teleport to a location, they know that they can trust us, believe in us, and work with us. Okay, so let's talk about your appearance. So your appearance can have many different parts of it. We need to be sure that we fill out our profile to explain who we are and what we're doing. We can use color to be able to communicate. Our apparel, the specific things we choose to wear, do tell a story about us. The gear that we have with us, how we stand. Do you find that your animations make a difference in how people interact with you? Yes. And I need, you know what I need to add to this? I need to add a picture of Bill and I in the physical world, because he's wearing his hat then too. Yeah, yeah. It was very funny when we met in Washington D.C. For a conference. I think it was we were the easiest ones to pick out in the room, so they could tell who we were. And then, you know, your body, what you choose as a body can affect how people participate. And then your size. Oh yeah, that's good, Carmen. You know, it took me a while to find an animation for myself that moved far more like I do, and I'm really pleased. I'm happy about it because I found some that actually stand like I do, so it makes it good for photo ops. Excellent. Yeah, it's important. I try to get my students to shop for those things too. Excellent. So your profile. Yeah, I definitely don't swing my hips. Your profile is really important because it also helps market who you are. It can identify your call to action, be clear on what your intentions are, to show how you're consistent, and your connections within the world. You know, Suman, that's a good thing for you to point out. You know, I'm a mentor for the Nonprofit Commons and also helping other people come in the world, and finding ways for people to have easy use of AOHUDs is really important. And I'm just trying right now to work with my students with them, and they're struggling with them. So any input or thoughts on that stuff, I would love your thoughts on it. So your profile gives people a chance to scan over and see what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, who you are associated with, and it tells your story. And when it comes to marketing ourselves, and that's what we're doing, right? People are interested in different things, and what we want to do is be sure that we've narrowed down who we are so that they can have an understanding of us. It doesn't mean that we can't be expansive and welcoming, but we also want to make it easy for people to know who we are and if they can participate with us. Does your profile identify those different things? Do you need to edit your profile every once in a while when things change? And if you're working on a special project, do you put that in your profile so people will be gathered up and volunteer? Now, let's talk about apparel, gear, and your stance. So in this slide, I actually have a little photo of my closet in the physical world. And I would say that my inventory looks pretty similar as far as having those warm colors to them. Now we all know that we need to be able to dress appropriate for different sims and different events. Sometimes we need to be able to have our formal wear available. Sometimes we need to be able to put on a costume to fit in, to enjoy. We also have a chance to use virtual world to test out different appearances that maybe we want to try out in the physical world. That can be an issue. And you know, one thing that I've seen, because my work's about identity, what I find is that folks come in world and they try on these beautiful outfits or, you know, professional suits, and they see how people treat them differently than in the physical world. If in the physical world they just wear sweats or jeans, or they're really casual, but then they come in world and they're dressed up a little more professional and treated differently, they start to migrate that into the physical world. And they're pretty impressed by how they feel about themselves and how others interact with them. And because in the physical world, when we wear garments that are fitted to our bodies, just like they are here in a virtual world, we are treated differently. Thank you, Sheila. Take care. And as I mentioned before, having different gear, things that you wear, and you guys pointed out, like Agile Bill, his hard hat is a great example of him, you know, showcasing what he does. Do you have different things that you wear? You mentioned the glasses. That's a really great example, definitely. Okay. And as we talked about before, your stance, definitely important. And this little Isaac move right here on my picture, I do that all the time. That's Isaac from the Love Boat, in case you're not sure. Okay. Next one, your body. So, depending on how your body is, people will participate with you in different ways. And it also gives us a chance to try out different things. We know that a lot of studies are being utilized in virtual worlds to try out different cultures, try out different races, and different subcultures as well. These things people are influenced by. I had a student who, when he came in world, he asked about if he could be a fuzzy, and I'm like, oh, that's fine if you want to be a fuzzy, not a problem. And then finally he migrated to just having a tail and a human body, and then I found out throughout class and the videos that he produced in my class that he was an actual fuzzy in the physical world, and he sold and made fuzzy costumes and these expensive elaborate masks. So I'm like, dude, you should be a fuzzy here all the time too and sell your work. Excellent. Oh, that's cute. That's a cute one. Now your size, actually this is a good one. Your size does make a difference. You know, I find that when I encounter some avatars, they are just so much bigger than me. But I'm small in the physical world, so it made sense for me to be my actual size. Okay. And then these other slides, I have a couple different representations of avatars. Ah, Maggie, excellent. Yeah, I'm 5'3". Yeah, I was very surprised when you know, we would take pictures of groups of avatars, and I had no idea I was so small compared to some of my colleagues, but that actually happens in the physical world too. And I don't know, I'm so much shorter than everyone else. Excellent, Rob. Okay. So these are just some shots of different avatars. So some people set up their avatars that they use photographs to create their actual selves. And here, Dylan, his avatar. He's used his actual face on them. And some of these I've tried to put in the pictures of the people as well with me. Another avatar that you may be familiar with is Filthy, and he looks nothing like his actual avatar. But he's been able to brand his avatar so people can participate with him. Right here, you guys know Jackster. So his avatar, he's been able to trademark. And that's a process I'm actually interested in doing as well. And now that he's growing out his hair, he's starting to look a little bit more like his avatar. And some folks, like Chrissy here, Gracie. Did anyone participate with Gracie's project, the 1000 Avatars? She's produced 2 books, so I guess that makes it 2000 avatars. And she documented all these different avatars. I need to add a picture here because I've met her in the physical world as well. So when you're developing your authentic avatar, you need to have a strategy. And since most of you guys have been in World for a while, you've probably already done this work. But when you bring other folks in, you might want to encourage them to think about these aspects. So you want to declare what your mission is and how you're going to accomplish your mission. You know, that can happen through your profile, that can happen through your appearance. Prepare. So you want to make it so that people understand what your products and services are and who your target market is. Now, I don't know about you guys, but as an educator, it's been very important to always identify myself as that so that a potential target market can participate with me. Being aware and compare. So who's your direct competition and how are you different from them? How do you lure people into taking classes with you? And how can you be different or support those who do similar work? Ah, yay, Buffy, I'm glad you can hear. So where? How does your avatar appear? And debonair. How does your audience interact with your avatar persona? Now we know we've experienced some avatars that they like to engage in not a super social manner. Maybe they like to bother people. Maybe they like to ask the tough questions. Maybe they're super encouraging. People become familiar with how your avatar interacts. And then share. How do you express your significance and how do you get attention? Ah, Maggie, that's great. And maybe because you came down to their height and eye level, they could participate more. I know for myself in the physical world, when I engage with students and other people who are in wheelchairs, I tend to get down to their eye level so that we can see things the same way. And care. How do you engage with others? How do you show that their opinions are valuable? And how do you become an advocate for them? Pair. How do you work and play with others? Does the difference with audience male or female? You know what? I think that that's a really good question. And I don't know about you guys. I live in the state of Washington, and that everything that we do here, we try to think of things as gender neutral. And in the physical world, my name's Renee, which is a boy's name. So people don't necessarily know if they're going to have a male or female instructor when they come in the classroom from the catalog. And so I think it's important for us to consider that people could be one way or the other. I also found out that a number of men have female avatars because they say, why would I want to be working in a virtual world doing all this stuff and keep looking at a boy? They want to look at something attractive. And then the last one, be there. So how do you lead by example? And I think, virtual world, this is a great place for us to test out different principles and ideas, that we've become leaders, right? It's pretty awesome. So in the middle of this, you can see that I have a number of crayons, and the different crayons actually give you information about what these colors are saying. So feel free to click on a crayon and do what it's communicating. Excellent. Very good. Are these some of the words and ideas that you would like your avatar to represent? Now sometimes there are specific colors that we don't like, and yet they represent things that we need to say about ourselves. So in my case, I don't like brown, but when I click on brown and I see all the things about brown, those are parts of me that maybe people need to know about me. That I might be the one that's going to be the foundation of things. Yeah. Now, this is a small sampling of the colors that I utilize in my work. I actually have 40 colors that people can find out about. So when I have all those crayons out, how about I invite you guys back for that? Excellent. Okay. So we talked a little bit about that you're devising a mission and that you're using your avatar to be the embodiment of that mission, right? So I also said that many of us are superheroes, and we go through an evolution of superhero, which helps then tell our story. And all superheroes have an origin story. And I use origin stories in my classes for students to be able to reveal what they're passionate about, what motivates them, and how they want to work with each other. Would you guys like to look over at that lesson too? Excellent. Excellent. And after we do that, how about some superhero poses? We all like photo ops. Okay. How about you guys follow me? And we'll go over to my books. Okay. So we're going kind of back where we started. Oh, looks like we got someone stuck. Let's see. See if we can pull her out of there. Walking back this way. And offer a request. Okay, so we're going to keep walking. And walking. Keep walking. All right. There you go. Get under here. Okay. So it looks like most of us made it this way. Excellent. So this is a lesson about having the courage to encourage others. We do that by discovering what people's origin stories are. And as I mentioned before, we can then include that in how we represent our avatar. And in the title of this, remember I said that it's, creating authentic avatars, and that's superheroes without disguises. So I don't believe that we need to wear disguises as superheroes. We can definitely be our best selves out there all the time. We don't need to be a mild-mannered version of ourselves either. Do you agree? And the reason why superhero stories, their origin stories, are very important is because they actually inspire others. They inspire others. They will find connections with folks. They'll say, aha, something happened to me too. Ah, that's a good point, Shimoon, that's a good point. I think putting on a costume and being able to represent yourself in a different way actually brings to light who you are. And that's a good thing for people to do as well. Yes, and it is a good way of being safe. Sometimes wearing a costume is a good way of being safe. So wearing a costume doesn't necessarily mean that you're disguised. Wearing a costume doesn't mean you are not being who you really are. You just may need to have that role for a little while. So through this lesson, you can walk up the books, and what it does is talk about, and you guys are welcome to come back to these things anytime. Welcome to come back to things anytime. And it walks through the ideas of how an orientation happens, the evolution of a superhero, and the different catalysts they experience. And I encourage you guys, go ahead and walk up some of these books. What you'll find is that there's information about this and the different stages that we go through as a superhero, and also this was built to help educators utilize the idea. And as we go through, it walks through the steps. So it starts off with being the pre-hero and feeling isolated and different, but yet we have some unique skills and superpowers. And then we have a catalyst or a tragedy that happens. We change. And when that happens, we mutate and transform. And I always talk about that mutation. Education is a mutation of alike. Then there's opportunities in education to be able to showcase our superpowers. In the end, there's acceptance as being a superhero. And if you make it all the way up to the top, you'll see where we can go play. So while we're up here, I just want to point out a few things. You can see that there's other lessons around my sim. There's also project areas that my students are working on. I teach multimedia communication at Peninsula College, which includes video classes, web design classes, social media, marketing, also that I'm teaching virtual world use. And my students are currently working on the hero's journey, so they're building things for that, which is part of my infographics, 3D design, and immersive engagement classes. So lots of fun stuff to explore. I have different lessons about superheroes working together, discovering your destiny, and of course some lessons in color. So if you want to learn more about color and how you can apply it, there's lessons in that too. So you can see off in the distance that there are a number of stars that are floating in the air. Can you see them? Excellent, excellent. Okay. Now surrounding those stars, you can see that my sim is covered with white cherry trees. And I don't know if you guys know that the cherry tree is a symbol for education. And you can also see that a number of my objects are covered with mother of pearl. And I like that idea of a pearl, not only just pearls of wisdom, but the idea that something beautiful comes from a little agitation. Isn't that what we do as educators? That we start off with a tiny speck of sand and help people develop themselves into something beautiful and multi-layered. Okay, so you guys want to go over to the poses and be superheroes? And after we get over there, I can answer some questions. Okay. They're all fun poses. So we can either fly over there or walk over there, whichever you feel comfortable. All you need to do is sit on a star and you'll get a pose. Come join me. And let me know if you can still hear me. Can you still hear me? Okay. Yay. Getting some good poses in here. You guys look fantastic. Isn't this fun? And go ahead and try some different ones. Awesome. Okay, so while we're posing, do you guys have questions for me? Did you learn something about yourself? You guys look like fantastic superheroes. Awesome. So maybe you can tell me if there's something that you learned that you were not aware of, or something that you want to share your experiences in developing your avatar and how people participate with you. Look fantastic. Okay. No questions? Okay. I'm assuming you guys are doing an excellent job of getting photos of yourself. Yeah, that's that's why this is a good thing to end the lesson on, right? Definitely get some good shots of yourself. You all look great. You know, I believe that using virtual worlds are a way for us to encourage people to talk about who they are and what they want to be. And you know, as educators, that's our job, right? To help people. That I try to, you know, develop a space that anyone can utilize. You guys are welcome to come over here anytime. And I'll tell you something really fun. I was presenting at the new Media Consortium about authentic avatars, and I had a number of instructors come up to me at that conference and say, "Oh my God, my students have been playing with your stuff," and they come into class and they say, "I'm a red, so I should be in charge," you know. And it was so much fun. I mean, I almost cried to hear these people, you know, that were experiencing my lessons that I didn't know anything about. And it gave those students strength and a voice to talk about how they wanted to participate in the classroom. It was amazing. So please feel welcome to come here anytime and play amongst the stars, or with my kitties, or learn more about color. And eventually you'll see that my students build a few things that you can participate with in too. I hope you got some fun pictures too. It means a lot to me to share with you guys. Thank you. You'll also find some of my artwork here as well. Excellent. Thank you. Oh, yay. Please. And if you guys have any feedback or thoughts about stuff, please share that with me. I love opportunities to teach and learn from others. Seminar? Oh my god, that's an awesome thing, Lee. That's totally what we're doing, right? Excellent. Yeah, Lee, maybe you've started a new thing. Ah, yeah. Awesome. Okay. Lee, quick, run out and trademark that.